Everybody should have their water bottle with them at all times, but not every water bottle clips to our pack. So I made myself an adjustable mesh water bottle holder so I can take this thing anywhere. Let's get started. The entire construction of our water bottle holder is literally made out of 2 of these crazy little strips I've made, and then some of the wonderful paracord that comes in a huge variety of colors. I love this stuff. And then I also like those little 2-hole cord locks. These are very efficient to use, right? Now, in order to build our framework of our bag, I unrolled my nylon mesh there, and I went ahead and made a strip that was 2 inch wide by the 36 inches long of the roll. But these raw edges out here, they won't unravel, but they do sometimes get a little bit, hard on the hands is the nice way to say it, I guess. So I want to kill the raw edges, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it and I'm going to fold it towards the middle. And then I'm going to do it again, and it takes a little bit of effort, and I'm going to do this all with a single stitch. So I'm going to take that like this, I'm going to bring it to my sewing machine, and I'm just going to run that sewing machine down, and I'm going to make sure I catch all 3 layers as I go. About halfway through, you're going to want to stop and finish out your fold. And like I said, you're going to make 2 of these complete. And this bottle, I don't believe I pointed out, but I have a big, like 60-ounce water bottle, and I have that small 20-ounce bottle there, and it's designed to hold both of them. And the key to that is having enough cording, which I'll walk you through towards the end as we're lacing up our holder. Now, I forgot to point out one of the most important features while you're making both of your straps, right? I'm using a polyester thread because I want the strength from the polyester, but more importantly, I'm using a matching thread for the cording I'm choosing so it looks extra cool when it's all finished, right? So, like I said, we just need 2 of these straps. Once you have 2 of these straps made, I want you to go ahead and just find the center, and it's pretty easy. You're just going to go ahead and fold them to the middle like this and crease it here. Don't even let go of it, just grab your other one. Work it down here. We're going to crease that, and if it's a little off, it doesn't matter because we're just going to build ourselves an X on those 2 center points. I bring it back to the machine, and right now the edge guide is on the machine because we're going to use it in a second, but I don't need it, so it's just kind of out of my way like that. And I'm going to go ahead and do a full X without cutting my thread. So the key to construction and strength is as few of pieces of thread as possible, right? So it's important to keep that going. And I actually do it 2 passes around, or you can go forwards and backwards, whatever works best for you, whatever's easiest. But we really want this secure because you might have 3 pounds of water bottle hanging from this. Okay, almost there. And one last side, and then once this square is all built, let's lock that in really sharp. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start to build the loops that we run the cording through. And this square is basically the same on both sides, so it doesn't matter where you start. But at this point, I'm going to take my edge guide and I'm going to move it back to the 5/8 mark. And this is kind of important. I did figure this out on purpose so that our cording will be able to run through with 2 layers of cording. Now the X, I'm hoping you can see this, is kind of sitting off the edge of my machine, also known as about 3 inches from here to here. These top pieces are about 3 inches from where the loop is going to start at the 5/8 and where the X ends. So now what I'm doing is I'm folding it over. I'll slow down here in a sec once I get it in position for you all to see. So basically, this is the setup. Look at that. I've got a loop up against the edge guide coming backwards, and now I've got the little X hanging off of the machine. And now watch what I do. I go forward, reverse, thread cutter. Now I'm just going to move this out. I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to bend that loop again. Forward, reverse, thread cut. And you're going to make 3 of these. Let's just do it. And you're going to do this to all 4 sides. However, I've got one other side to finish off because I thought of a cool trick while I was in the middle of construction. So what normally happens is you have your 3 loops and you get to this point and you're going to come in here and you're going to take and you might want to use a heavier scissor, but that worked pretty nice. And I'm going to trim that right there at the thread. So 3 of my sides are going to have at least 3 loops. And while I'm handling them, I also squish them right now to make them open, which will make it easier for the lacing, right? But what I also determined, here's one where I have, just a quick point it out, I guess I mean more water than coffee right now. There's that X. You can see the 3 loops are in place on 3 of the legs and they've already been trimmed out. So we still need to finish this one. So now I want to make sure I'm sewing my loops in the right fashion. There we go. Bring this in here. And now what I'm going to teach us how to do on demand, on the fly, because we thought this would be a great idea, we're going to add in an extra loop to put a carabiner through so we can really suspend it from just about anything. So there's that first loop. Here comes the second loop. Okay, now as we're getting ready for this last loop, we're gonna have all this extra tail. And remember, it's been about 3 inches from the last seam up to where the loop top is, okay? And again, it's mostly important that you get the 3 loops in here. So as I'm using the bed of my machine to mark this, and this comes down here, this here is gonna make my first loop, right? So I've got that up against there, and this is gonna be the top loop on the outside of the bag. But now what I'm going to do, instead of trimming it off, right? So this is going to be sitting here like this. Instead of trimming it off, I'm going to bring this loop around this way, and I'm going to re-secure it. So now we can take the edge guide out of the way. And let's get this down with about 3 or 4 layers of stitching. There we go. Because that will be now where we can actually put on a nice big carabiner ring or something like that that will then allow us to build up the rest of our framework on the bag. Now I called it a bag, but I know it's really a bottle holder. The easiest way for me to teach you how to lace this is going to be literally in place. And so while I was lacing mine, I put my bottle in, and the reason, as I said earlier, there's so much cord is you can put any kind of size bottle in here basically. But let's talk about this. Now, when we first get started, that carabiner loop will be one of your back 2 pieces. I think that will look the best. Now up front though, we're going to take our cording, just like we have it here. You're going to need at least 2.5 yards, right? I've got my ends melted, and so basically this end, that loop came through this way into the water bottle. Okay, so this is a single layer down here. And then as I start to lace it through, it goes around through all 3 of the other ones, and then it comes back out in the front again. The other leg went the opposite direction and came back out the front. Once it comes out the front, it's just like lacing our tennis shoes, okay? So I'm going to cross over to the second loop. Then it's going to run all the way around the back, and it's going to come out, it's going to come out and it's going to start heading up to our 3rd upper loop. This is why the 3 loops were so important for me. It helps us draw it all up nice and secure the bottle. Okay, then it came up and all the way around like on the opposite leg. So now I have 2 tails coming out for me that I can inset into that double pull lock like that, and then I've just got a nice knot at the end. Please remember, we do have a free printable in the description below for how to do all of the lacing. And don't forget, the lacing color is really part of the design. That way, when you snap it to the back of your pack and you're cruising around, you're showing off all the great gear that you learned how to make right here at Man Sewing. Thanks for being a Man Sewing fan. It's great to have you out there encouraging me to create fantastic new content. If you've missed any of the videos, we've got links for you here and here. And while you're checking those out, make sure you're subscribed. We don't want you to miss any of the action.